Hey guys, it's Overlord, your friendly neighborhood gatekeeping elitist here. So freaking stupid. Back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Star Wars Black Series. If I'm not mistaken, the Clone Wars, right? Clone Commander Gree, brought to us by the fine folks over at Hasbro. Despite the fact that out of all of the Clone Trooper Commandos, this guy is probably affected the most by this old body and its hindrances because, well, his articulation is a bit lacking. We'll say that. Even compared to the likes of Commander Cody, Commander Fox, Captain Rex, Commander Bly, who we looked at on the channel a few years ago now. And even Commander Wolf. Is that the only one I was missing? I don't have Jesse, so I can't speak for him. But I know Bakara is on the new body, so we'll talk about that when we get to it. But before I get too far ahead of ourselves, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all Gree. An interesting name. Has to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with, of course, the standard clone blasters. He's got the long one and the short one. Now, I actually swiped this from Commander Fox just to make my life easier. I cannot remember if Gree's blasters were unique to him or not. I almost think they might have been more of a gray, whereas the other clones are more of a black. But I'm not entirely sure where Gree's blaster is. So, there is that. I think it's in a drawer somewhere. And we do have this little antenna here, which I popped off because it's just going to pop off anyways. I might have my dad super glue this at some point, because, yeah, it is kind of small and easy to lose. And that's the last thing I need to lose. Taking a closer look at Gree, who's an ex-Toys R Us exclusive. I think they brought him back in the archive line, so there is that. Do I care that they did that? Absolutely not. I think anyone who cares that they reissue figures is actually a gatekeeping elitist. It's like, I don't want people to have this figure because I got it. It's rare now. That's not how to be when it comes to this type of stuff, man. There's some Mythic Legions people who are like that too. I don't reissue it. Mine's worth money. I don't know. That's either gatekeeping or petty. It's one of the two. But at any rate, this guy always kind of reminded me of like one of the Bad Batch dudes, which we looked at last year. Around Thanksgiving, actually. We looked at the Bad Batch, and this guy always kind of reminded me of that, because he's got the silver with the greens and whatnot. Almost looks like the front is what's painted, because the back of his helmet does have some white on it. But at any rate, as far as his articulation goes, his head is very limited. It's just a swivel. Like, that's all you're going to get. Maybe the slightest bit of tilt back and forth. But this guy's head, you can actually pop off. And that might be surprising to some of you because, well, Star Wars figures are known for that. So I am kind of wondering if somebody didn't make a custom head for Gree that actually gets more range. Because this head does not get hardly any. It is almost just a swivel. Same with his shoulders. His shoulders, you can like push them in, but you're not going to get a lot out of that. Like here, push that down. That's all you really get. One notch. You get one notch, and I'm not even like chewing them up doing that. Let's try this side again, because I swear I got this out further earlier. There you go. That's like as far as I can get this. And it's really snug in there. So, without like doing any extensive damage to the shoulders, possibly even like heating them up or cutting them a little bit so he gets more range, he doesn't get squat for range in the shoulders, so that kind of sucks. Even the back and forth, the shoulder pad hits, so he's clearly got the biggest pauldrons out of all these clone commandos. He's got a bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. He's got a swivel and an up and down hinge on this wrist. He's got the same type of thing going on the other side, but it's in and out. So that's fine. His torso will rotate and tilt back, forward a little bit, not a lot. And then he does have some lean, but it's not anything to write home about. His belt feels like it is a separate piece, and it is. You can rotate that if you want. So that's kind of nice. You at least get that bit of nuance. As far as the hips go, they kick out about that far. They kick up about that far. Again, you got this thigh plate to worry about, which mine appears to be a little warped. Just a little bit. But it is what it is. It will rotate. Seems to be going back into place though. Double knee, that works okay. Foot does not go back, and that's a thing with these clone commandos. The feet will go forward far enough, but they will not go back. That said, if you have them leaning all the way back, you don't really got to worry about them falling over, because their feet literally cannot move anymore. So I guess there's that, but I think we really need some better ankle range on these clone commandos so we can get them into better crouching positions, but that's just me. That said, I always gave Gree this big arse blaster here. It's, I don't know, it kind of looks like a shotgun to me. Or some kind of rifle. But I always have him on display with this. Always have him on display with this. So, let's see if I can get this back into his hand. Come on, there we go. Takes a little finagling to get it in there, but once you do it, it's fine. There you go. And then we got this antenna here. I want to say the fat end is what plugs into the backpack. It is. Ugh. Gee whiz. Oh, maybe it is backwards. Hold on. Nope. Do, 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 do. I mean, don't get me wrong, it stays in there. But geez, man, with the slightest touch, it is gonna fall right out. 'Cause there you go, like, it's clearly not falling out like that, but yeah, I would super glue that if you're not planning on like moving or anything. It's good for storage because you could pop it off and then you don't gotta worry about it breaking. But I don't know, I would have just glued that thing in there. I mean, really. But there it is. It's okay. It's fine. But there is Gree in a nutshell. Not a bad figure. I still enjoy him. But I think his head, his shoulders, and his feet are really where this figure falls apart. Because he's kind of a pain in the butt to pose because of those limitations. But at any rate, I think it is time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Commander Gree alongside who I think is his right-hand man, or better yet, he's their right-hand man. We have good old Jedi Master Kit Fisto rocking the standard Mace Windu robe, for those of you wondering, and yeah, I think he looks good next to him. And if he's not Kit Fisto's right hand, Maybe he's Master Yoda's. I don't know. I know that Commander Wolf is Plo Koon's clone trooper. Commander Cody is Obi-Wan's, and Captain Rex is Anakin's. I can't exactly say which clone is which after that, but I'm pretty confident in saying that Gree is Kit Fisto's, mostly because of the green, but I feel like I've heard that in passing as well. That said, we also have another clone commando that doesn't exactly have a Jedi to go with, but is a clone commando nonetheless. We have good old Commander Fox, who got his blaster back after I borrowed it for the first part of this review, so thank you, Commander Fox. You're not a complete a-hole, like you were in Clone Wars, but still an a-hole nonetheless. And we will actually be looking at him tomorrow, because it occurred to me that I've never reviewed this figure on either of my channels before. Probably because I got it during some kind of hiatus, but that's besides the point. So stay tuned for that, I guess. Getting these two out of the way. So we can bring in our two regulars. The Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith. Right here. And the infamous Let's Spawn. If I can get him in close enough. There, I guess that's as good as that's going to get. We can clearly see that, as usual, towers over everyone. So that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and despite the fact that out of all of the clone commandos, good old Gree here is probably the most in need of a bit of an update, especially with the lack of range in the shoulders and even the head. I'm still going to say that I really like this figure because when you get all the clone commandos together, it's something, we'll say, for lack of a better term, magical. They just look awesome together. I know that might seem a little strange to say about a bunch of essentially military-esque characters, but if you have all these characters, you set them up on a shelf, you'll know what I'm talking about. That said, I think the biggest thing we need to update with Clone Troopers is the feet articulation. They can't move their feet back full crap. And it's something I really noticed on Gree here, trying to get him in this pose. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.